Hello, my name is John Rose, and this video is especially for those of us who've been on the hero's journey for a while, and we've been studying the obstacles on the hero's journey. We want to have a better grasp and understanding of that. This video will also be for those of us who are new to the hero's journey, and we're eager to learn how our brains have been bombarded by bullshit, which is why we're in the mess we're in today. And this has everything to do with what Dr. Herbert Shelton once said. To paraphrase Shelton, along with detoxification comes de-indoctrination. Because he knew, he's been trying to get this message out for a long time. I always find comfort in reading many of his words because he's been through this. He knows the agony of what it's like to deal with the status quo. And what he said is that the biggest obstacle we have in health reform on this planet or in this country is not just ignorance, which we got a bunch of, but the main obstacle are the people in charge. It's the status quo that wants the status quo to stay the status quo. And because we are sick, there doesn't even have to be a conspiracy. These people don't even have to be in cahoots, but yet a lot of them are. But the key is they don't have to be because they're sick, and this is one of their symptoms. The problem is they represent the sickest of us, and the average person can't even imagine what goes on in these people's minds unless you study them like I have. And what I know about psychopaths is that they've known from an early age that something's wrong with them. Because they're always getting in trouble. They don't know how to act. They don't have any feeling of remorse. They don't have any empathy. You know, they'll torture animals. They won't know how to act. They'll go to a funeral, but because they've been paying attention to us for so long, because they have to, so they don't get in trouble, they can watch us and mimic what we do. They can go to a funeral and see everybody mourning and crying, and they can play that role. But then they're so out of touch that they then approach the widow and tries to pick them up. They're just so out of touch. And because of that, they're very predictable. But also because of that, they know that the only way that they can stay out of trouble is to be the boss hog, so to speak. So they gravitate to positions of power. That's the best way these type of people can cope in life. And they've actually taken over the world, which explains why we have all these horrible, bad things on this planet. And gosh, there's so many ways I want to go right now. I'm not really sure if I should end this and go to my next or not. Let me just think for a second if I really have covered all the things I want to think about on this. Because we need to have an understanding of how these people work. And this is, I guess, what I was making sure I wanted to say, is that what happened with the people who rule the world, because they're psychopaths, they've been doing this for thousands of years. They've been in control for thousands of years. And these people are Satanists. Now, you don't have to believe in God and you don't have to believe in Satan to understand what these people are doing to us, because they believe in Satan. They worship Satan. And what happened with these Satanists is, again, they have to make sure that they remain invisible. One of the most important things that they need to do, the second most important thing, would be to make sure we don't focus on them. That's why they're always trying to distract us. That's why they divide and conquer. It's also why they converted to Judaism in the 8th century. So that now, instead of blaming the Satanists, we blame the Jews. And this is tantamount to the Hell's Angels joining the Boy Scouts. Imagine picking up the paper next day. The Boy Scouts rave havoc once again. See how we're being tricked and fooled? And then, of course, they get the Christians and Muslims to fight against one another. It's all about being distracted. But the biggest distraction that these people have over us, the number one thing they don't want us to focus on, is how to get healthy. That's why they control what they teach doctors. That's why they control what they teach nutritionists. That's why our experts are not our so-called experts. That's why the number one thing we have to do is get healthy. The most important thing we have to do is be the best that we can be, because guess what happens when that happens? No one can control us and no one can rule over us anymore. This is how we defeat the powers that be. This is how we get rid of the status quo. And we can do it with our money initially. Just by voting with your money, by not buying the wrong food anymore, we can put these companies out of business immediately. But that's not going to happen unless we reach the tipping point. That's why I say over and over and over. There are 3 ways to correct 5 mistakes, and 2 of them not enough of us are willing to do. But the 3rd way, that's my specialty. That's a solid food vacation. We can get a lot of people to do that. And even if they're a meat eater. I've coached lots of meat eaters that came into a solid food vacation saying, I have no intention of giving up my meat. 30 days later, they were singing a different song. I've coached people, even Dr. Roba was a vegetarian. Because I don't want to be raw vegan. What happened after that? I'm rethinking about raw vegan because now I see what I'm missing. See, this is the biggest problem that we have on this planet. We're sick, we're disconnected. We don't know what we're missing. When we are presented with an idea that we should do this, what happens? We don't think it's a fair trade. And then the powers that be know this is an idea that's time has come. It's the number one thing they don't want to focus on. So what do? They send a ton of internet shills to YouTube channels and message boards to create negativity, to social media to create negativity. So when we see negativity in social media, on YouTube channels, a lot of those people are crying for help. They're in pain. And the only way they can feel better is if they think someone else is feeling better. But then there's about 1% of the population that are literally psychopaths. These are bad people. And they tricked us into believing that there's good in everybody. That's not true. 1% of the population are sicker than the rest of us. And what these people are doing, they're exploiting the sickness in us. We're very easy to control the way we are right now, and they know all they have to do is control what we know. So that's what they do. They control the educational systems. They control history. They don't let us understand what the real message was last century, that the take-home message, that we actually live on an abundant planet. 2 countries proved that to the world, and we attacked them and started world wars over it and said they're the bad guys. And all they did is they broke away from the monetary system that's controlling us. That's the absolute tool of control. And when they did that, they were flourishing when the rest of the planet, the rest of the countries on this planet, were starving. America, the Great Depression, at this time there are 2 countries that were flourishing, and how did they do it? They quit playing the money game. Remember what John Adams said, the first vice president of America and the second president of America. There are 2 ways to conquer a nation. One is by the sword, and the other is by debt. We have become debt slaves. Watch the Thrive documentary, get past the first part of that, which might be 40, 45 minutes, and he'll explain to you how the monetary system works and how there's not enough money in circulation that can even pay back the interest on the debt we owe these people. It's called usury. And it used to be forbidden in the Christian religion. It's still forbidden in the Muslim religion, which is why there's a war against the Muslims right now. The powers that be don't like these countries who aren't using usury. The Christians forbade usury up until around, the 1200s or so, when the Knights Templar found these books under the Temple of Solomon, these magic books, on how to control the masses. So with detoxification comes de-indoctrination. A lot of us aren't ready for this yet. If you're new to the hero's journey, and I know a lot of you guys are, this may be too much at this time. But be aware that when you go through a transformation, there's a good likelihood you're going to want to help other people. And if you really get serious about it like I have, you're going to soon find out that there are obstacles going to be in your way. And when you find out what's behind it, you're going to go, oh, okay, I see where John was coming from. We really have to question everything. You've got to question what I say. The best way to question what I say is go down below into the description box and do the first of my 3-step process. This way you can see what you're missing. And then you'll be in a better position to correct the 5 main mistakes that's causing most of our problems, especially the first mistake. And I say this over and over in all of my videos. This is the fall of mankind. People keep saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with eating cook this and cook that. Yes, there is. You're destroying the nutrient that makes us feel one with everything. It's called a biophoton. It's faster than light communication. It's stored in the nucleus of our cells. Cells use that to communicate. And without communication, we have chaos. And guess what? Psychopaths swim in chaos. They send internet shills to message boards and social media and promote negativity. Man, I'm watching the internet shills all over the place. It's so obvious for me to spot an internet shill. Because you can't attack this message, so you attack the messenger. That's what you see on these YouTube channels. And I don't take any of that serious. If anything, it just motivates me more. If you think that discourages me, you got another thing coming. I haven't been discouraged one day in my life. In the last 26 years, once I found this knowledge, because I knew this is what I was destined to find and help you guys understand. And I hope you feel the same way. Because once you get on the hero's journey, the 5th stage or phase of the hero's journey is to share the hero's message. That we've got to be the best that we can be. And when that happens, everyone is in for a treat.